My name is Brent Kromer. I am the owner and founder of C4F, where we teach online health coaches how to sell at a higher rate and scale their business with more profit. If you're new here, go ahead and hit the like, share, subscribe button. I drop free content every single week. If you just go back through the videos, you're going to find a whole bunch of stuff that is going to help you scale your business. It's going to help you make more money. It's going to help you become a better online fitness coach or just business owner in general. So go ahead and check that out. If you are new here, if you are returning and you're a regular here, guys, I want to dive into something that is so incredibly important to me. Okay. And here's where I think I'm a little bit different. I'm a little bit weird. If you, if you look up the definition of weird, I am very different from the rest of the industry in this very specific regard. I don't think you need to scale until you want to, off yourself. Okay. I don't think you need to scale until your stress is through the roof and you hate your life and you hate your business and you hate your staff and you just want to go back to a W-2 and take a regular paycheck or a salary and live happily ever after, or mildly ever after. Okay. I don't think that scaling to the moon is for everybody. Okay. In fact, for certain business models, it doesn't make the most sense. So for fitness coaches, can you scale to the moon? Can you scale to all the Lamborghinis and everything like that? Potentially. Okay. But I would be curious to know, those coaches that you might follow and you might see on their YouTubes and their Instagrams and everything where they're like, hey, just bought a Lambo, just bought a new pad in Dubai and all these crazy things. I want you to just stop and ask yourself, how many of their clients have Lamborghinis? How many of their clients have Ferraris? How many of their clients have been able to move into a multi-million-dollar mansion? Okay. And if that answer is, you won't know, but if you assume that that answer is very minimal, right? If they haven't posted any testimonials of their clients buying Lamborghinis, there's a good chance that their business model allows for them to grow to that capacity because they're selling you a dream that's actually not reasonable for your business model. Think about that for a second, okay? Their business model is high profit business coaching, bring in the masses, give them a course, give them some automated material, hire a few staff members at very moderate low wages to help you, people who have never scaled their business to afford Lamborghinis and mansions, but they're going to help you try to get there because you were sold this dream and this image based on the influencer. So just think about that for a minute. How many of their clients have the success that they have? Probably none. And if there is someone in there, it's like one or two people out of the hundreds or even thousands of people they've helped. So that should be a good indication to you that the business model that you have as a Fit Pro is not quite as scalable as they have as a business mentor. Okay. And I know that sucks to hear, but I just want you to just soak that in for a second. It's life-changing when you recognize what this business model can be designed for. Because if you have this business, you have a square peg and you're trying to fit it into a circle hole and it doesn't go in, you're going to be frustrated for a long time as to why you don't have a Lamborghini or a mansion or all these crazy exotic trips that they're going on. Okay. So design your business for what it's supposed to be for. And that's what I want to talk about is the freedom number. The freedom number is a number that you basically design for yourself that allows you to have all the things that you want in life. Okay, within reason. You may not get a Lamborghini and a multi-million-dollar mansion and a yacht that you sail off the coast of Italy. You may not have that. You probably won't have that in this business model. But what you can have is a very good life, and you can have a vehicle that opens doors to other more profitable business models. Let me give you an example. I don't consider myself a business coach. I consider myself a consultant because I actually come into your business and work with you at the highest level to design every single aspect of your coaching company. If I was a business coach, I would have other people, less successful people doing that for me. And that's just not my style. So for C4F, what I determined was from a consulting model that I have, I offer unlimited one-to-ones to all of my clients. That's not very scalable. Could I scale it and bring in less qualified people to coach them? Yes, I'm not willing to do so. So what I've recognized is C4F is a vehicle. Okay. It makes me amazing money. Okay. And I'm not here to brag about that, but it's not getting me Lamborghinis and multi-million dollar mansions and the yachts and everything like that. It's not, because I recognize what this business model is good for. It's good for making me a great salary, okay, putting me still probably, I guess, in the highest tax bracket technically still, but it doesn't make me millions. So what I've done is design this business model to allow for me to invest into other things. I invest heavily into real estate. I have 2 real estate companies that will get me there, okay? But the consulting business is a vehicle for that. It allows me to pull money from this business to put into other more profitable, more home run businesses, okay? So think about that. Your fitness business is probably the exact same thing. Okay, your fitness business might make you a couple $100,000 a year. And what that's going to allow you to do is have a little bit of freedom, have some fun, spend money on things that you enjoy, have a nice house, maybe have a pontoon or a wake boat, but not quite the yacht. You might go to Italy, but probably not on your own yacht. You can rent one, but probably not own one. Okay, that is okay. You still live a wonderful life. Use your fitness business to make a couple $100,000 a year. You know, that could be anywhere from 2 to 800,000 a year. I have people on all spectrums. And then take that cash and put it into something else, whether that's a freaking Etsy account or stocks or real estate or flipping homes or doing whatever it is that you want, but a vehicle that allows you to make more money and have the stability of a really nice business. Okay, so now that I've ranted, I don't think anyone else is coaching that. I've never seen it. So I think a lot of other coaches are selling this idea and this dream that you're going to become a fitness coach and become a billionaire. It's probably, could it happen and hasn't happened? And I'm not billionaire, but like multi-millionaire. Yes, I'm sure it has. But that we're talking about the 0.00001% of all fitness coaches. That's not a statistic that I would be willing to bet on as a fitness coach to become that 0.00001%. I would rather become or design a business that's more likely where I can make a couple $100,000 a year, live a wonderful life, have a stable life, and then invest into other things that make me very wealthy. Now that my rant is over, I hope this adds a little bit of clarification for you and your business and what it should actually be designed for. Now let's talk about the freedom number. The freedom number, again, is that number that allows you to do all those things on the stability side and then still invest into other things if you so choose, or you can just live a nice, stable life. The freedom number is different for every person I've ever met. This is the first thing that we do when you come into my consulting or I come into your business, right? We design a freedom number and then we build the KPIs and the metrics and the forecasting around the freedom number. So what I want you guys to do is think about this, okay? How much money do you need to make to pay staff, to cover overhead and operational costs, to save for retirement, to build an emergency rainy day fund, to set aside for travel, enjoyment, and hobbies, and then to also build a savings, and then to invest other places, right? Like we've been talking about. That's a lot, okay? That's a lot of money going all different places. But it's also subject to the size of the business and the revenue. So you can still set aside for all those things and be a solopreneur, a fitness coach that has no staff, and you're bringing in $8,000 to $10,000 a month. Let's say 10. You can still pay all of those things, and you're not setting aside tons and tons of money for, other investments or into your savings, but you are still doing it, and that's more than what most people can say in this country. So, or you talk about the person who's doing 100,000 a month. They have tons of staff, tons of overhead, tons of ads, and they're paying tons of taxes and doing all these things, but still setting aside for those different things. So again, it's subject to how big the business is, but that's okay because no matter what size the business is, you still can save for all of these things. If you're making at least 10,000, if you're making a little bit less, you're probably not going to be investing into real estate. You'll probably be putting a little bit more money into rainy day funds and savings, and that's okay too. So how to calculate the freedom number? 1, determine your basic living expenses, rent, mortgage, utilities, groceries, transportation, any essential bills that you have. That's medical bills, that's student loans, anything, all of your basic living necessities. Go ahead and calculate those into a spreadsheet. Okay. Then I want you to calculate the business expenses, the overheads, the operational costs, the staff salaries, office. You probably have some office expenses, software subscriptions, marketing costs, all of those things. Okay. So over here, personal, over here, business. Okay. And then have a total of both. Then you should probably have an accountant, and you should probably talk to them about what the salary should be. So if you're cutting yourself a salary, if you're an LLC, let's go ahead and just ignore this. If you're an S corp, then you should put a defined salary so where you can maximize your tax benefits. Okay. Then we have to start thinking about retirement and investments. So retirement, if you're going to max out a 401k, you got to figure about $1,800 to $1,900 a month is going to come out into your 401k. If you're going to max out a Roth, it's about $500 a month. So altogether, you're looking at $2,400-$2,500 a month into retirement if you want to max out your Roth and your 401k. You don't have to, but you can. Okay. In the beginning years of C4F, I didn't contribute to this because I had already had a decent retirement built up from my healthcare career, that I just kind of moved that into a wealth advisor and let him kind of do his thing. And then my first few years of business, I said, F that, I'm not putting it into retirement. I'm going to create my own retirement. And so I took all that money that I would have put into retirement and put it into new real estate units. Okay. Now I'm fortunate enough to be able to do both. And that's amazing because I've defined and built a business around my freedom number. So that's what I want you guys to be able to do as well. Rainy day fund, 3 to 6 months of living expenses is typically what's appropriate here. So if you think your living expenses are $3,000 a month, you should have 3 times 3 months, 9 to 18,000 just set aside into a savings, a wonderful savings account that you can use. And I use myself, Brooke uses, we actually have a joint account as well. And then all of our clients use it as well. It's called Wealthfront. Okay, Wealthfront. It is a 5% high yield savings account. They give you a debit card, so you can still swipe if you need to use money from it. You can transfer money back to your account, and it's there super quick. You can send wire transfers for real estate transactions, everything. It's 100% liquid and accessible, but it sits in a 5% account, just gaining tons of interest. And it's been the amount I've made just off of interest is amazing. It's amazing. It's so exciting because I didn't do anything except put my money in there instead of keeping it in Chase where it's like 0.01%, and you make a penny every month, right? So Wealthfront, put your rainy day fund into a separate account in Wealthfront and try to get that 3 to 6 months living expenses. Okay. Now, if you don't have that, break that down over a monthly basis to see what you would have to set aside to get to that, and then just set it and forget it and let it collect interest. Travel's a big one. Everybody wants to travel more. Everybody wants to enjoy more experiences, which is great. And I love that. Set aside like how often you want to travel, how much your normal vacation is. So like what Brooke and I have done is we like to travel a lot, but we we don't travel extravagant. So there's like 2 kinds of travel, right? There's destination travel, which can get really expensive and less frequent. So maybe like once every month or every 2 months or every 6 months, depending on your budget. And then there's a super frequent travel where you travel multiple times a month and it's a little bit cheaper. Whether that's a $300 Frontier flight up to Montana, hang out for a long weekend, come back, and then that's done. That's what we like to do. So we travel, I would say 2 to 3 times a month. And what we spend on vacations, if you want to call them that, is not very much. Not very much at all. So determine like what kind of travel you want and then what that might cost. Maybe you do some mini weekend travels and then you have like a big vacation every quarter or every 6 months. So just determine what that is and what that would cost on a monthly basis as well. Savings. So once again, you're going to have a separate account in Wealthfront for just your savings. You have your rainy day fund, then you have your savings account. Again, this can be joint with your significant other. Establish a goal. If you want 20,000, 30,000, 10,000, 5,000, whatever it is you want in that savings, go ahead and set a goal, break that down monthly and see what you'll be setting aside for that. Okay. So now we talked tons of expenses and how to break them down and allocate them appropriately each month. Again, you're going to build out this cost and you're going to have these different buckets of what you want. And then you're going to break it down on a monthly basis on like what you need to be, contributing each month to get there. Okay. There are tons of tools. There are budgeting apps, there are financial planners and coaches, there are online calculators, there are free templates, there are wealth advisors. There are so many different ways you can do this. The way that I do this is nice and simple. I have a spreadsheet that I go through with each of my clients. Again, the very first meeting that we have, and we just break it down and do all of this together. And then we have our freedom number. And then that freedom number, let's say our freedom number is 20,000 a month. Okay. We know to get 20,000 a month, we have to do this, which tells us how many calls we have to book, which tells us where our show rate needs to be and our close rate and everything like that. So then we just have the freedom number, and then we work back incrementally to determine what we need on the front end acquisition. If this sounds confusing, it probably is if you don't have a structure, which again, I'm recording this in the beginning of September. We have 2 of our 5 spots filled. Love that. So that means we have 3 spots remaining, which is the most we've had in a single month in about 4 months. So I'm sure that will fill quick as soon as I put this podcast out. If you guys are considering building a business that allows you to make money both in the business and elsewhere and make you a very wealthy and balanced individual, go ahead and reach out to me on any social. Okay. We'll sit down, we'll go through the entire budget. You'll get all my templates, and then we'll build out the business model around your freedom number and the lifestyle that you want. Okay. A few mistakes to avoid if you're doing this on your own. Underestimating expenses. I tend to overestimate and be a little liberal with my expenses because I want to have some left over in the worst case scenario. Ignoring taxes. Do not ignore taxes. Okay, taxes can bury you if you ignore them and don't pay them on a quarterly basis. I recommend that so much. Okay, factor in taxes, please. Account for irregular expenses like miscellaneous items. That could be your computer breaking down. That could be a new roof. Think about this and maybe even set aside some. I know this would probably come out of your emergency savings, but if you can kind of account for this as well, that's just better. So whichever way you want to go there. Okay, mindset shifts. Let's talk about mindset with this, okay? A lot of people have a fear of spreadsheets and numbers. They don't want to see the numbers because they don't think they'll like the narrative that the numbers paint, and that may be the case. If you're a business owner and you're afraid of numbers and you're not willing to look at the facts, you're not going to be a very good business owner. You're not going to be around very long. You have to get over this fear. I know in the beginning, I was making a lot of money, like starting C4F, but I also had a crazy amount of expenses. And I just wanted to look at the money that was coming in every month because it made me feel warm and fuzzy inside. Like, wow, I'm really doing this. And then I would look at all my expenses and I'm like, wow, this sucks. And so I wanted to avoid it and just look at the top number and think about that all day. But I had to kind of face the music and start working on reducing my expenses, building a different business model. I've changed the business structure probably 2 or 3 times for C4F to basically replenish and allow myself a higher ceiling and higher profit margins. And it's worked every single time. So that's great. Sometimes it takes a few iterations of it to get it right, and that is okay. Okay. So just don't be afraid to look at the numbers. The other thing is how mindset. Okay. When you start thinking as a business owner, you start like you should be pulling away from that mindset of can I afford this and more of a how can I afford this? So if you want that trip to Europe for an entire month and you want to go here and there and do this and experience this, it's not can I afford it? It's how can I put these metrics in place that allow me to do this in the next 6 months and then build from there. All of business is just identifying, forecasting, and reverse engineering. Okay, that's it. Okay, if you need help with that, probably hire someone because if you don't, it's a lot of trial and error. Okay, so let me know if you guys have any questions. This was a pretty in-depth podcast. I hope I laid it out. I have a couple notes here just to like make sure I didn't just jump in and just start throwing all these numbers and metrics at you. I hope I structured it in a way that was advantageous and allows you to actually absorb a lot of this knowledge. If you have questions, obviously I'm happy to help for free. If you want one of my subscribers or OG YouTube listeners, just reach out to me on any platform and I will happily help you as much as I possibly can for free. Okay. If it gets to a point where it's beyond what I'm able to do for free, I will let you know, but test your boundaries. Okay. Have a wonderful day and, reach out if you need anything at all.